So I've had this dream before. It's a giant place for the elderly, and there's a guy there who manages the building, and he's really interactive with the families, and everyone's really just tight-knit there. I've always gone there with my mom and my siblings. I think that kind of ties into when we used to go see my grandma when we were younger in her apartment building. But it's not like that. It's like a huge center for the old people, and there's doctors there. And it starts out with me trying to park, and I'm in the city, and I can't find a place to park, and I'm getting lost, and then I find a place, and then I have my dog with me, and she comes in with me. I take my little backpack in with me that has my gun in there. I remember thinking that it would get stolen if I left it out in the car in that area. And then we go in, and the building's not the same at first. At first, it's just like a random, slummy apartment building, and I have to stop to adjust my dog outside, and I had some trash in my hand from my car that I wanted to throw out, and the trash cans outside the building. So I do that, and there's like a few tenants outside, and they're acting kind of weird. And then I go in, and for some reason I have like this reusable sandwich bag type thing that is supposed to hold water. So I go up a few levels, and it's like a communal kitchen area, and there's a sink, and there's like these majestic colored makeup brushes, and like a weird spaghetti jar in the sink. Like super, in my mind, is super old people stuff. Like, this is what one of those tenants would be washing in the communal sink, is their old ass, beautiful looking makeup brushes. So I'm washing out this reusable sandwich bag that holds water for my dog. And then it kind of skips from there, and we go over to all the community thing, and we all see this doctor, and that's kind of brief, but I always remember it like that. And then people are just kind of walking back and forth, families, and seeing their elderly loved ones. And then I see this man who resembles my grandfather, like to a T. So I just kind of look this guy up and down, and I walk towards him a little bit. And then almost like as a movie, the sun hits him just the right way to kind of reveal that it's not actually him. And of course he's passed away, so it wouldn't have been him. And then I saw my aunt, my mother's sister, about 10 feet behind him, and she thought the same thing, and she thought that it was him, and she kind of looked at me and looked at my facial expression. She's like, oh honey, almost like, that's too bad, that's sad, whatever. And then I figured she would come over and talk to me. I haven't seen her in a long time, and she just kind of like beelines me the other way, and that was kind of awkward. I was like, okay, whatever. So then I see my grandma, I see my mom, and then I see like the landlord guy who just kind of runs the building. He's really cool, and he starts talking to me about the cheerleaders, because I cheered in middle and high school, and one of the people I cheered with, this boy on our team, he's front and center, and I cannot remember what the sign he says was holding, but it was something about the building, and it was really like quirky and just funny, and it grabbed a lot of attention. I'm like, oh my god, I know him. Like, do you know him? And he's like, oh yeah, of course we know him. We know the whole family. They come in a lot. Just totally weird. So there was that. And then we go downstairs, and there's like, per usual in this dream, which is really weird, it's like this orgy type thing taking place. Like, everyone gets paired up on a number scale. Like, you pick your number based off of something really weird. I don't quite remember, but I always remember it's a very glimpse part of the dream for some reason. So then that happens, And then afterwards, they always serve two things. It's like a lobster or a steak. And it's not actually a lobster, because I always remember I want it because I love lobster, but it's not lobster. It's like a giant crawfish, which sounds like a lobster, but it's not. It's like a cheaper alternative. So there's those two options, and everyone has to pick which is which, or which one they want. And then the servers just come around, like, you're supposed to pick, and the servers will just like have these giant trays of these two dishes, and they're just dropping them off to the hundreds of people in this cafeteria communal area with their elderly people and family members and whatever. And one of the girls came up and asked me, which one did you want? And I said, I don't remember. I'll just take whatever's available. When you come back towards my table, it's fine, whatever. So that's happening. And during that time, it's me and one of my friends that I used to go to camp with as a child, from like my younger years to my teen years. And she's sitting there with me, and she actually made the almost 20-hour trip for my wedding recently. So that was kind of cool. I got to see her again in my dream, and we're just talking, and she's telling me how she thinks that she wants to chop her hair off. And I'm like, girl, every time I chop my hair off, I regret it. Like, it's a no for me. Don't do it, man. You're gonna regret it. And she's like, oh, I don't know, maybe. And I was like, yeah, on my honeymoon, like, I totally just took kitchen scissors to my hair and created this like bob, and I thought it would be nice, and it's not nice. Like, don't do it. And she's like, oh, maybe. And it was just so weird talking to her. And then we had like a bunch of Spanish speaking people around us, and I just remember telling some kind of joke about how you think it's gonna be, something like a white girl trying to speak Spanish, like, you think it's gonna be excelente, but really it just turns out bad, or something like the most tackiest like bilingual joke you've ever heard in regards to a haircut. And it was well delivered in my dream. People found it like genuinely funny, but sounds kind of not funny now that I'm saying it out loud. So that was just kind of like wrapping it up there at that table. And yeah, that was really the gist of it. And I've had this dream, not like that, like not people I went to school with and friends and stuff coming through the dream, but it's always the two food options. Sometimes it's different, but there's always like two options, buffet style, whatever. It's always to see my grandparents. And usually my mom's there and my siblings. But throughout the years since I was a child going to visit my grandmother, I've had this dream in different ways, multiple times. And it's always refreshing and makes me want to call my grandma. So that's what I'm going to go do.